All right, so to begin the class today, I'm going to show you how to open your account with D&J Financial. So here's the account for your system. And I want you to take a screenshot of this. You cannot lose this. This is here's your company, D&J Financial Training. Here's your FN number. This is very important. I want you to understand that our system is very advanced, so you are going to be able to, if you lock yourself out, you're going to be able to unlock yourself, lock yourself, or get yourself back in. You don't need to call us or do anything like that. The system's going to ask you several things, several steps for security, and you're going to be able to come in. But the first thing you need to do today, after the class, you need to create your account or activate your account. You're going to have sometime today, you're gonna have an email that looks like this, and you're gonna have to create your account or activate your account. So go ahead and click Activate Account. That's gonna take you to this process right here. Well, it looks like that one has already expired. So let me go to the other one I received. There we go. So let me activate my account. And as you can see, it's asking me to create my account. So I'm just going to choose a password. So I'm going to say that my account that's my username. And that is my password. Okay. As you notice, the little red marks turn green as I fulfilled all of the password requirements. So I'm going to hit continue, and it says that username is not available, so I'm going to use that. Hit continue, and now it's going to ask me to select an image passphrase. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to say dog. And hit continue. And then I need 3 security questions, right? So I'm going to choose those security questions right there. The ones that I know that I can remember, right? So childhood nickname, Luis, my oldest cousin's name, Jorge, and then my youngest brother's name, Marcos. Okay, so look, this is really important that whatever you type in here, you do this is stuff that you're going to remember, because this is what's going to help you reopen your account. Okay, we don't reopen accounts. If you lock down your account, we'll have to delete your account, move your clients to somebody else, and then reinstate those clients. It's a long process. You don't want us to do that. So make sure that don't just go through this process real quickly. Make sure that you do this and you pay a lot of attention to it. All right, hit continue, and then enable 2-factor authentication. So that's your cell phone, not anybody else's cell phone, your cell phone. Okay, so here we go. Here's my cell phone. It's going to send me a code right away. So I'm going to wait for that code, and there you go. There's the code, 041328. Once I put that code in, it's going to ask me, this is a very important key. I will take a screenshot of this. Go ahead and say I have stored my recovery key, and hit continue, and bam, you're inside of the system. Within a few minutes, you are inside of the system. The only thing that I want you to do is, as you can see, you have your name there. Go ahead and click on your name. Click settings. And I want you to go to this first page, okay? And I want you to write a 00663322, and then down here write 12345 for the time being. After training, you're going to have your own PTIN and your own prepare pin, but for the time being, do that. And choose your time zone, which you're going to choose Chicago time zone, because that's Central Time. And then once you do that, hit save. If you want to change other things like your name, your last name, your username, you can do that as well in here. If you want to change your password, you can change your password right here as well. Another thing I want you to do is I want you to go to preferences and make sure that this says that the system timeout is 30, so that way you're not being timed out quickly. So that is the only things that I want you to do before we actually you actually start creating returns. So let's continue with the rest of the class. All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and log in. I want to show you a couple of things. Once you've logged into the system, let me show you a couple of things. You're going to have your own FEIN number and your username, and just here are a couple of things that I want to show everyone. This is our actual tax system, and I'm going to move to 2015. This is our actual tax system, right? This is what you're going to be working with. So we're going to be doing our practices here. You see our logo, D&J Financial. Once you're able to log in, you're going to have your you're going to see your name as well down here. Okay, and most so right now, I just want to make sure. I just want to clarify. We are in training mode. So what that means is that some things are going to be limited. You're not going to have access to everything because you are in training mode. So just pay attention to the training process, and you're going to be fine. If you're worrying about, hey, I don't have this color, or I don't have that color, or this is missing, or that's missing, don't worry about that right now. You just need to be worried about training and making sure that you can get your returns completed. And also, I want to show you a couple of things, right? So before we get into any other part of the system, here's your new client system. This is how you're going to add new clients, right? It's very simple. But if I want to change this to another language, I can do that. Very simple. Make sure you watch the video on how to do that. I'm going to translate this from English to Spanish with a click of a button. I have new customers right there, right? Nuevo cliente. So I can just do that, and everything's in Spanish now if I want to do that in Spanish. Okay, and I just want to make sure that we're doing updates to the system. So some things might be a little off right now because we're doing updates, but once we get into tax season, everything's great. So the one thing I'm going to say is familiarize yourself with the system. It's really important that you have that as you're going through this scenarios and practices, that you are familiarizing yourself with the system. So the one thing that I want to make sure that you understand, right? We have some alerts right here. This is where you're going to know whether your return was accepted or rejected. As you can see here, we have some rejected returns. This is where the IRS tells you, hey, I have accepted or rejected your return. Fix it. This is how you fix it. We're going to be showing you all these things here throughout tax season. So here you go. You have your 2015 returns. Here you can search customers by name. So I'm going to say Jose, and there's the one person that matches Jose. I can say David. There's all the people who match David. These are sample returns, and I can change the year right here if I want to work with 2016, 15, and you guys, and in your case, you're gonna have 2016, 17. I'm sorry, 17, 15, and 16, right? So you're gonna have those 3 years, 17, 16, 15. So you'll have 3 years here. So you can switch whenever a customer comes and says, hey, I want to do a 2015 return. You just come over here and change the return, right? Change the process. And you can filter. All of these are filters right here. You can filter by name. You can filter by status. I'm sorry, like accepted, awaiting acknowledgement, in progress, and we're going to learn what all that means, as we're training. Bank products, ITIN processing, and then some of you are not going to see these because I have an admin account, but you're just going to see your name there. But if you are the owner of the franchise, you're going to be able to see all your franchisees right here. So let's make sure you understand that if you're the owner of the franchise, you're going to see your employees down here. So that's going to be you should be able to go in and out of the franchise without any problem. So, all right, so let's do this. As we navigate through the system, I want to make sure that, again, you feel comfortable with the system. You know, you can, here are some other menu options such as reports, the bank. We're not going to go in there right now, but, you know, this is how your system's going to look, right? As you can see, I have a total of 87 returns. Total of 87 returns, and the system also says that here, let me make sure that I can write on the screen. I have 87 returns, and it says that 7% are accepted, 91% are in progress, of course, because this is a training site. So and one of them, 1% is rejected, and then there's other, right? So so we're going to be learning and going through all of this stuff, you know, as we move forward. Here's funded. Funded means that the IRS has funded that return, and then pending means, of course, you know, that the IRS has not funded that return. So at a glance, you can see exactly what's going to happen, right? You can see how things are moving at a glance. So here on the right hand side of the screen, you have another option. Here, let me actually write it for you, or let me show that option for you right here, so that way you can see it very well. Here you have an option. I just pointed that out to you. There's an option, and it's actually a menu bar. And when you click on that menu bar, you're going to have a few important things. You're going to have a calculator. Of course, if you click on that calculator, you're going to find a calculator right there, right? And you know, if you're making a calculation, you can say bring it to field. So let's say that I'm calculating 45 plus 45 equals 90, and I can say bring it to field. And it's going to put it on the square or on the cell that I want it to go. So that's very important. Here you can print blank forms. So let's say that you want to print a blank 1040 for whatever reason, right? You want to print a blank 1040, you can do that. Here you go. Here's your 1040. You'll see it there in a second. It's blank. Let's say that you need it for training purposes or whatever the case might be, right? You can do that. You can print the form. You can print the form, and you know, I don't know, you know, why you exactly need it, but you know, if in case you need it, it's right there. But one of the cool things is this, right? You can share your screen, so whenever you run into issues, you're going to be able to share your screen, and you know, this is going to happen, right? It's going to tell me to share my screen. We're going to help you set that up for you, and you can share your entire screen. Here, let me actually move that. So you can see it. Let me go and share my screen with you so that you can actually see it. All right, there we go. So you can choose now to share your entire screen or just an application, right? So for instance, I'm going to share my Google Chrome, or I'm going to share the entire screen, whatever the case it is, right? So I'm going to share Google Chrome, and let's do that, right? Let me click on that, and let me share that for you, right? So whoever you're talking to, you know, for instance, you know, you can share this with your franchise owner, or you can share this with the D&J agent. I think you've heard me many times saying, hey, if you're a franchise of D&J, you're gonna have this option right here. You're gonna be able to share your screen so someone can log in and start helping you, right? So you've heard me say that a few times. So all you have to do is give them this code right here, the 5D8A. That code, and the other person is going to be able to log into your screen and help you. So
So this is very cool because sometimes, let's say that you run into an issue and you're not, and you don't know how to solve it. They're going to try to help you. And if they can't, they're going to try to take control of your screen so they can actually do it for you. So let me close this. Let me show you again how I got there. I went to the menu on the very top, right hand, very top. I went to the menu and I went to screen share. You'll be able to share your screen. Not your entire computer, just your screen. And again, you have to give them permission. But here's the coolest thing, and I'll show you right now. Here's the coolest thing. Here's our chat system. This is our chat system. Right inside of the system, you're gonna have a chat system that you can work with, and that chat system is going to allow you to communicate with D&J Financial. With any of the agents without having to call anybody. You can do a lot of cool things in here. So let me actually show you how this works, because I think this is actually very, very cool. So as you see right now, we are offline, right? So I can actually and look at this. It has my name. It's showing my name. And it's also showing my my franchise identification number, so we know where you're from, right? We know who you are, and we also know if you need any permissions. Like for instance, there's financial stuff that we should not be talking to you about. There's return details that we should not be talking to you about because you're not the franchise owner. So we'll know all of that. We're gonna know all of that, whenever you actually log in. And so right now I can just write a message because we are offline, right? I can write a message and I say, let's say that you have come to the system at like around 11:30 p.m. and there's no one there to help you right now because we're closed, right, at 11:30 p.m. But you can still write a message and say, hey, guess what? Someone already logged in. Check it out. So someone already logged in, so I don't even have to leave a message anymore. Look, we are actually online right now. So as I was trying to explain you that someone logged in. So why don't I go ahead and start chatting with these people, right? So can I say hello? And look, it's in English and Spanish. Estamos en vivo y listos para charlar. We're live and ready to chat with you. So hello, I can say hello, and then I'm gonna have a response, right, from a chat operator, and there you go. There's your hi. I need help with return. Let's see, 93175 4185. So let's do that, right? Always, and that was one of the things, you always want to include the Social Security. I can't tell you how many times people log in and they don't put the Social Security. They're just like, hey, I need help. What do you need help with, right? What do you need help with? So that they start telling you the story, but they don't tell you how or who we need to be helping you with. So here you go. I need help with the return return 931 7541 4185. So, and then you'll have a response here in a couple of seconds. Okay, let me take a look, right? And then you'll begin the whole process of conversation. So for instance, if I want to say, hey, look, I'm working with this customer right here, Josue, right? I'm working with this customer, and I just logged into the customer right now. I just logged into the customer. So so if I say, hey, I'm working with this customer, and I need help because I don't understand how form, I'm not seeing the results of form 2441, right? I'm not seeing the results. So I've already put $3,000 here, And one of the things, if you know how to do this, right? So I can even take a screenshot of what I'm doing. I can take a screenshot and I can upload it to them and say, hey, look, I don't know what's going on over here, right? So you see that I just added a screenshot right there, and they can do the same thing to me. They can add a screenshot. They can add a screenshot. They can show me how to do they can show me how to do anything that I need to do, right? So this is very, very cool. You know, you can, of course, you can send emojis. You know, if you want to send emojis, you can like the conversation if you want. And this is in English and Spanish, right? So, you know, we can test this whole process, right? And you can say, hey, Melanie, ¿cómo estás, right? And then we'll get a reply from Melanie saying bien, right? Or, you know, so this is not a robot. So you need to make sure you can ask any kinds of questions. Again, if Melanie or whoever's on the chat is not able to help you via chat, she's going to ask for you to share your screen with her. And if that doesn't work, you know, then she's gonna ask, you know, for you to she's gonna ask for your phone number and call you, or anyone who's we have about 10 or 15 people that are working with us during tax season. So anyone or whoever it is, you know, they're gonna be able to help you, and you know, this is your point of contact, right? They have access to the entire system. They have access to everything you need. They have access to all your returns. So that's going to be something pretty cool, right? So I wanted to show you the chat system, because the chat system is it's your lifesaver during tax season. And we're open from I believe it's 8 a.m. All the way to 11 p.m. I believe. Yes, give me 1 second. All right, there we go. So we're open from 9 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. I believe. So they're going to publish. And again, if you don't see anyone logged in, then again you can leave a message, right? So let me see if I can. Let me tell Melanie. And then let's see what happens here. Hopefully she's able to disconnect and she's able to log out, and we can see that message. There we go. So she's out. She left, and now I can leave a message, right? Because there's no one here. So I'm gonna leave a message because I have a question and I don't want to forget it, and I actually want someone to respond to me, so I can leave a message here, right? And then whatever you need here, of course, remember that this is not going to be something instantaneous, right? There's no one there to help you once we are offline. So someone's going to receive the email. It's not going to be me. Someone's going to receive the email and help you. So another thing you have is you can go to our website from here, D&J Financial. You can just click on that for whatever reason you need. If you need to navigate to our website for X, Y, and Z, whatever reason, maybe you need the phone number for the corporate office. Remember, we're a franchise company, so we don't do we're not going to do any technical support here. You're actually going to have your regional director, especially for you guys franchises, right? He's going to be your first point of contact, so you'll have his information. So here we go. So if you don't have this chat system in your system right now, if you don't have the chat in your system right now, don't worry about it. Remember, we are in training, so it's not a big deal if you don't have it right now. But I want you to understand it's right here at all times. You're going to see it right there. Once we're in operations, you'll see that it's on at all times, so you're going to be able to log in and ask questions, and to work directly with someone at the chat center. So, all right, let's take the first break, and then after that, we're going to go directly into the tax system. We're going to add a customer, and we are going to continue the rest of the class. So let's take our first break of the day. All right, so we are back. If you can hear me, give me a yes or an okay if you can hear me. So I want to make sure that everyone has an idea of what exactly is it that we're going to be doing throughout this process. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the scenario for you. The scenario is we're going to go into right now into making an income tax return in the system. The scenario is very similar to what you need to do is an interview, right? All of the information that I have collected in this scenario is because I asked the customer. So if I have all this info, if you see that I have all this info, it's simply because I've already asked the customer. And this is the same thing you are going to do, and you're going to learn this in your what do you call it? Your tax your tax process, right? You're going to learn this that we're going to teach you how to build a return. What are the steps to build a return? So and this is where we are. I'm going to show you this at the end of the class, right? Number one, the first thing you need to do, and I hope you're writing this, the first thing you need to do is you need to collect all the information, right? You don't want to open a return. You're never going to see me opening any returns unless I have collected all the information, right? I don't need to be collecting anything unless I have I'm sorry, I don't need to be creating any returns unless I have collected all the information. So what information do I need? I need all the info that it's going to allow me to create this return. So here's one. I need social security numbers or ITIN numbers, right? I need, if possible, I need ID so I can see in the ID the customer's date of birth and full name, and I don't have to ask the customer, hey, how do you spell that? You know, I want all this information, right? Something that tells me the customer's address, right? Something that tells me the customer's address. And one of the things that we're going to provide you is we're going to provide you a sheet of paper where you can do, where the customer can give you all of this information. They can write it down or they can enter it in a computer as well. So, so here's all this information that I've already collected from the customer. And this is what the scenario is going to teach you. Collect information first. Don't start a return unless you have all the info. So now we know, and I'm actually going to read this to you. Customer's name is John Hammonds. His social security, as you can see it right there, and this is something I would like for you to write down. Anytime you see an X, anytime you see this right here, and I'm going to put it on the chat for you. Anytime you see that, you need to you're going to have to replace it with 794185. Okay. Anytime you see X's like that, so 2X, so some X's like that, 6 X's equals 794185. Okay, so I just send that to you on in the chat system. Just make sure that you have it. Give me a yes or an okay if you have it. Give me a yes or an okay if you have it. So anytime you see X's like that, you're going to replace them with 794185. So again, there you go. You have a customer John Hammonds, and his social security is 101794185. Okay. The birthday, his birthday is September 25th, 1978. I'm right here, right now, 78. And here is his address. Here is the primary phone number, and he is a bookkeeper. That's his occupation. He's a bookkeeper. And now he's going to give me his dependent information. A spouse and dependent. Remember that a spouse is never a dependent. Remember, a wife or a husband can never be a dependent. So the spouse name is Karen Johnson, and her social security is 403794185. She was born in June 6, 1988, and cashier. She's a cashier for an occupation, and you can see the dependent's name over here. I'm not going to write it all down. But here's some additional information that you should take a look at. Additional information. John is not married and has no children, yet though he told you here that he has a spouse, right? So what does that mean? John is not married and has no children. So what does that mean? That means that, and I'm going to help you here. That means that at some point, John got together with Karen, right? As you can see, they have different last names. They're not married. John Hammonds, Karen Johnson. They're not legally married, but they've lived together, right? They've lived together the whole time. So more likely, Christopher Johnson, the dependent, Christopher Johnson, the kid, is a dependent, right? So just because the customer told me that he's not married and he has no children doesn't mean that he has no dependent and no spouse, right? Because as we have learned throughout the class, to be married, you don't have to actually have signed a piece of paper. To be married, especially in the state of Texas, if you're married, if you're together for 6 months or more, you are married. So, and the child is your dependent because he lives with you, because you feed the kid. He has no dependent, but his partner, Karen, has a dependent, which means that if they live together, that means that he has a dependent, right? So make sure that you understand what the customer is telling you, and Customer's telling you a story, but it's not just about the customer story. It's about the way the IRS sees it. So the questions that I would ask, Mr. John, does Christopher live with you all year long? Yes. Okay. Mr. Hammonds, is Karen your partner? Has she been with you for 6 or more years or 6 or more months? Yes or no, whatever the answer the customer gives you. That's where you need to build the scenario. Don't just assume that because the customer said, hey, I'm not married and I have no children, that he has no responsibilities, right? All right, so he received health insurance through his employer. John began paying back his student loan this year. So we're going to go through this throughout the rest of the class. And John wants to e-file the return. And then here's his PIN, right? He's been doing taxes before. So look, here are the scenario requirements. We got to select the filing status. We got to enter a W-2. We got to report health coverage. We got to enter student loan interest. And we got to complete the e-file information. So according to this, it should take us 25 minutes to complete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the tax system. Okay? I'm going to take you to the tax system. So actually, let me move the screens and take you there. And there we are. Here's our tax system. There's the tax system. And I'm going to create a new client, create a new customer. So here we go. New customer. The system is asking me which year. What year do I want to do? I'm gonna say for this example, I'm gonna say 2015. Do I want to use a template? I'm gonna use the training template for now. I'll explain what templates are later on. So, Mr. Customers, his Social Security is 101-794-185. His name is John Hammond or Hammonds, and I'm gonna add the client. Check this out. I cannot add that client because somebody else already has that Social Security. So see how smart the system is? If somebody else has that Social Security already in your system, not in my system, in your system. Let's say that you are part of a franchise. So let's say that Olga had already added that customer, and nobody else can add it because someone already in your franchise has already added it. So I'm going to use another Social Security just for. I'm going to use, let me change the year one more time, and I'm going to use 106-794-185, John Hammond. Hopefully this one, it's not taken. Boom, this one's not taken. We're ready to go. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding the information that Mr. Hammonds gave me. And so I already have the, let me change here let me start sharing my screen with you instead of just sharing the app. That way you can see everything I'm doing. So there we go. So Mr. Hammonds told me that his spouse, Karen Johnson, right? Karen Johnson, and there's her Social Security, and she was born June 6, 1988. So why don't I go and enter Karen Johnson? Karen Johnson, 403-79185. And it's not asking me for date of births right now, so I'm going to move on. What's their address? Their address is 623 Miller Road, zip code 30165. So zip code is 30165. Check it out. All I have to do is put the zip code in there, and the system is going to find the CD. That's why it's asking you for the zip code first. All right, and we are done with that. Let's go to filing status. So I just figure out that Mr. Hammonds, even though he told me that he is not married. Remember, he told me that. He says, hey, I'm not married, I have no children. Yeah, but you, Karen lives with you, and the kid lives with you. So legally, you are married, right? So maybe I need to help my customer understand what that is, right? So, so he is married, filing jointly, and his phone number Customer gave me his phone number right here, and I'm going to use, since they only gave me one phone number, I'm going to use that for both. So here we go. I'm going to use the same for both. There we go. And then it was asking me for the taxpayer's date of birth and spouse. So Mr. Miller was born on, I'm sorry, Mr. Hammond was born on September 9/25/1978, 09/25/1978, and she was born on June 6, 1988, so 06/06/1988, right? So the system is going to calculate the ages for you. There you go. His occupation, he is bookkeeper, and she is a cashier. And then I'm going to have some other questions here. And as you can see, I'm only focusing on the red, right? The system is your tool, so I'm going to focus on the red. I'm going to focus on what the system's asking me for. Is Mr. Hammond a student? No. Even though he says that he began paying back his student loan, that means that he's not a student anymore because he's already paying his student loan back. Is Karen a student? No. Is he a member of the armed forces? No. Is she a member of the armed forces? No. How do I know this? They didn't tell me, right? I asked them and they did not tell me. Remember, I am working strictly out of this information that I have collected, right? And after interviewing the customer, after asking them all the questions, we've come up with this. All right, so do I have any dependents? I'm going to say yes. And I want you to see here on the right side, on the left side, there's a form now called dependents. You see all the forms on the left side, there's a form called dependents. What type of return? It's going to be an e-file only. Remember, D&J Financial only e-files returns. Nobody really papers anything anymore. We're not gonna send things via email. We're not gonna give the customer an envelope and say send it via mail, unless the customer is processing an ITIN, or the customer is the IRS told the customer to send it via mail, right? But other than that, we're going to send everything electronically. So we're not going to give the customer a little envelope to send to the mail, right? Disbursement method. How does the customer want his money back? Does he want a direct deposit? Does he want a bank product? We'll get to that later on. For this example, I'm going to say direct deposit, which is going to ask me for an account number, okay? For this example, I'm going to say paper check, so he doesn't ask me anything else, right? We'll worry about banks and all that stuff later on. All right, so if I go back to the example, the customer told me that he wants to receive a paper check. Oh, there you go. He wants to receive a paper check, and he wants to sign his electronic return with this PIN, okay? And we'll talk about that even more. So let's put today's date here because we're creating the return today. So 09/05/2017, 09/05/2017, and then the tax year's PIN, he said that he wanted to use this number, so we'll use the same number for him, and we'll use the same number for the wife as well. And you're probably saying, hey, well how come, why are we using the same one for the wife as well? Do we have to use the same one? No, we don't have to use the same one, but if you use the same one, it's not a big deal because this number is associated to a different Social Security. So the taxpayer has a different Social Security than the wife. So yes, they can be the same numbers. It's not a big deal, right? So it looks like we're done here, right? We have added the personal information. It's already been added. So now we need to add the dependent information and the income information. So here we go. Let's go to the next form. And I hopefully you're following me, and I'm going to write it. I'm going to highlight it for you. I'm going to the dependent information right here on the screen. You see all of my forms are changing colors. They're going from red to green. So I'm going to the dependent information. I'm going to add a dependent. So in case you need to add another dependent, you can add another dependent here. You can add as many dependents as you want. So let's just do that. Let's check it out. I'm going to add one more dependent, one more dependent, one more dependent. I'm going to add 5 of them if I want to. Here's 5 dependents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All I have to do is click on that button right there. Add dependent. And if I want to remove it, I just remove the form. Just click on that big red button that says remove form. So I have to go individually into one of them and just remove the form, okay? So remember, each form represents one dependent. So I'm going to stick to the one dependent here. Just go there, one dependent. See that? And the dependent's name is Christopher Johnson. Christopher Johnson. So I'm going to put his first name there, Christopher Johnson. Remember, he has the same name as his mother, right? Johnson. And his Social Security he was born on November 2nd, 2012. So 11/02, 2012. Social Security 613-794-185. Relationship, my son. Months in the house. Mr. Customer, how many months did Christopher live with you? Here, there are 12 months in a year, right? So, and if this is a dependent with an ITIN who lives in Mexico, then you'll say Mexico. Let me say that one more time. If this is an ITIN dependent who lives in Mexico, then you'll say Mexico, because what the system is asking you here is how many months did the dependent live with you in your house. So if the person's in Mexico, it's very obvious that the person did not live with you in your house. So if this is your mom in Mexico, or your cousin, or your little brother or sister, and they don't live here with you, you say Mexico. Okay? All right, perfect. For this example, let's say 12 months. What's the code? Code number 1, 2, 3. A child who lives with me, or a child who doesn't live with me due to divorce or separation. The process of elimination, right? Process of elimination. Which one is it? Which one is it? Child who lives with me, because I just told you he lives with me 12 months, right? I just told you that. So very important that you go through this process. So you guys give me 1 second, okay? Let me turn off my phone. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn off my office phone. So cool. So the code that we're going to use here, and the one that you're going to use for the most part is going to be number 1. Okay. And then later on we'll get to when you use number 2. But for right now we're going to use number 1. That's usually the only one that we're going to be using. So here we go. And then you'll have an EIC, and then again, we're going to focus only on what's red, right? So it's not asking us for an EIC code right now. Anytime your dependent is over the age of 19, you're going to see this EIC code turn red, and it's going to ask you to select one of this. So let's move on. Here, actually, let me go back into the return, and let's go into the dependent. Let's go back to the dependent information right here. So, all right, so we already have all this info. Now let's go to the child tax credit and EIC qualifications. I think that you remember this. We talked about this in the first week of the course. We talked about child tax credit and earned income credit. All right, so the question is the dependent an unmarried, or the dependent, is the dependent unmarried, or the dependent is married and can be claimed as the taxpayer's dependent? Is the dependent unmarried? The question is yes, the dependent is unmarried, right? Because he's only 3 years old, right? The next question is, could any other person claim this child for EIC? No. No one else claimed because mother and father are right here. And then the next question is, will you be claiming dependent care expenses for this dependent? I'm going to say yes for the time being because I want to show you that before we end the class. And will you be claiming education expenses for this dependent? I'm going to say no because he's only 3 years old, right? He's only 3 years. So I'm going to say no. Perfect. So we've already added our first dependent. Very simple, very easy. Remember, these questions right here, the EIC questions, you just got to read them, okay? Don't, they're not hard to read. They're not hard to understand, but you just have to read them. As you get used to preparing tax returns, you're just going to make sure that you read and understand what you're doing. So the question there is the dependent unmarried? Unmarried. Yes, the dependent is unmarried because he's only 3 years old. Why is the question like this? Because this is how the IRS wants us to ask the question. This is, if you look at the actual form, and I actually did show you this form. You do have a schedule EIC on your forms. So if you go to class materials, here, let me walk away from this for a minute. If we go to class materials, I can show you forms. I believe we have the schedule EIC right there. There you go. I've already shown you this form, and some of the questions are very, very, very similar, right? So you'll see that if the child was unmarried and things of that nature. So you have the earned income credit schedule EIC, page 1 and 2 here. So, so you've seen the form. You've seen the form. Now what you're seeing is the system, right? You're seeing it in the system right now. So perfect. So we've added again a lot of these questions. The system, as I have been telling you, a lot of these questions the system has already answered for you, and you don't really have to worry about them anymore because based on what you're telling the system it's already adding and answering some questions for you. So, all right. So what are we missing? Let's go back to our interview. What are we missing? We already added the spouse, right? We already added Karen. We already added the dependent. You know, it says that we need to add the insurance. It says that Mr. Customer is a bookkeeper. So why don't we look for his income information, right? So we already selected the status. We haven't entered the W-2 yet. So why don't we do that? Let's enter a W-2, and here we go. This is what I was explaining earlier. Scenario number 1, and here is your W-2, right? What's the customer's name? Here's your W-2, 623 Miller Road, W-2. So why don't we go in the system and add this W-2? First thing you're going to do is you're going to come up here on the very top of the system, and you'll see a button that says add that form. I'm going to highlight it for you. Okay, right there. Add form. So let's go ahead and add form, and let's look for W-2. And you can see it there, W-2. I added W-2, and it's right there. Form W-2. Some questions before we actually get to the form. This W-2 worksheet is for taxpayer, okay? The next question is check if the recipient's address is the same as the present home. So, Mr. Customer, do you live in the same address as in the W-2? Yes, I do. Then you just click in there and the address is going to populate itself. Or if not, then you can write it yourself. If the address is different, you can write it yourself. But for this example, I'm going to say yes. Is this a standard W-2? What is a standard W-2? Standard W-2 is what you get from your employer. That printed W-2, right? A non-standard W-2 is something that's handwritten or something that has been altered. And we don't really like those. You don't really like those. Those are usually fraud. So A standard W-2 is a W-2 that you get from your employer. It's printed. It has all the information. There's no handwriting. There's nothing like that. So I'm going to say yes, this is a standard W-2. A standard W-2 looks like this. It looks exactly like this. Okay? Perfect. So we'll go into the next question. Is the taxpayer address shown on the W-2? Let me see. Let me look. Oh, yes, it's right there. 623 Miller Road. I'm going to say yes. All right? And that is all the questions that is asking me. Now I'm going to move on to wages, salaries, and tips. I want you to take a look at this. B, C, D. B, C, D. You're pretty much copying and pasting, okay? So don't forget that you're pretty much copying and pasting on this form. So let's do that. Let's go to B. What does B says? 0, 1, 1, and a bunch of X's, right? So that means it's 0, 1, 1, 7, 9, 4, 1, 8, 5. Let's see what happens. Boom, look at that. Did you see that? The information pre-populated for us, because someone in Georgia or in Florida or anywhere where our system is being used, someone put that number in and put all that information. So it pretty much made your life easier. Very easy. Pretty much made your life easy. So there you go. You have your all of the information for your employer. So now all you have to do is focus on 1, 3, and 5. I want you to take a look at this. Take a look at this. Right there. It says automatically calculate fields 3 through 6. Automatically calculates fields 3 to 6. So if you want, take a look at your W-2. 3 and 5 say the same thing. So you want this, if this is the case right here, you want this to be automatically calculated, right? Sometimes 1 is going to be different than 3 and 5, but for the most part, it's going to be the same thing. So in this case, as you can see, 1, 3, and 5 are going to be the same thing. So I don't want to waste a lot of time, so I'm going to click on that and say, yes, please calculate that for me. So I'm going to type in $38,521. $38,521. Let me double check. $38,521. And look, I already have pre-calculated stuff. I don't even have to do anything else. Okay? And I'm just going to match it. I'm going to make sure that everything's the same thing. So I know 38,521 is the same here, but I want to make sure that 2388. There you go, 2388. And then 558.56, 559. Okay, 558.56, 559. So it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Remember that the IRS rounds up. The IRS doesn't use cents or pennies. The IRS is going to round up to the nearest dollar. So what are we missing? We're missing number 2, right? Federal income tax withheld. So why don't I go back here and I see that Mr. John Hemmings paid $3,944 in income tax. So here we go, $3,944. I'm going to hit tab, and as you can see on the very top, I now have a refund, $3,551 in refund. Give me a yes or an okay if you can see that. A yes or an okay if you can see the refund on the very top. Now you have a refund. Okay? Perfect. So now, and that's not the entire thing, right? That's we still have to do some things. So what have I done? I want you to write this down, right? And take a look at your chat system. So I collected all the info, collected information. That's number 1. Collected information. Number 2, added personal information. If you want to know how to build a return. Number 3, added dependent information. Okay. Number 4, added income information. Okay. And then number 5, work on schedules. We're gonna give you this on a piece of paper, but I just want you to understand the process that I did. Right. Number 1, I collected all the info. Number 2, I added all the info. I added the personal info. Right. So basically, I came here and I added the personal information. Then I moved on to adding dependents, and then I added income. And now I'm going to work in anything that says schedule or worksheet. Anything that says a schedule or worksheet. So let me say schedule or worksheet. All right. So I'm going to start working on that. Work on schedules or worksheets. All right, so let's do that. Let's go and start working on schedules and worksheets, and I'm gonna let the system guide me. Okay, I'm gonna let the system guide me. So I'm gonna go to the red forms, red schedule. So number 1, here's my schedule EIC, and I want you to write down let's write down the refund. Refund right now is 3551. That's our refund right now. Okay, so I'm going to go to schedule EIC because it's in red. Obviously, it needs more information, and I'm going to focus on the red only. I'm going to answer the questions. Right? All right, so question number 4. The system already, based on the information that you gave the system, the system already produced some results for you, and it already answered some questions for you. Okay, so you need to focus on the red. Was the taxpayer a non-resident alien for part of the year? Mr. Hammond, were you a non-resident alien for part of the year? What does that mean? What does that mean to be a non-resident alien? Were you not in a legal status for any part of the year? No, I was born here. I'm a citizen. I am 37 years old, and I've been a citizen the whole time. Okay. So the question is no. All right, perfect. So the answer, I'm sorry, is no. All right, I'm going to go to 6. Was the taxpayer's main home and the main home of the taxpayer's spouse if filing jointly in the United States? What does this mean? Mr. Customer, was your home and your spouse's home here in the United States for the whole year? Did you guys live here the whole year? What year are we talking about? We're talking about 2015, right? Because that's the example we're using. Mr. Customer, were you and Karen in the United States for at least more than half of the year? Were you guys here? Was this your home? Yes, we were here. Okay, perfect. Yes, continue. All right, and I want you to take a look at that refund. Give me a yes or an okay if you see what happened to the refund. Did you see what happened to the refund? Yeah, so we have 4530 now. The refund grew up. What this means is that you just qualify for more credit, right? For what credit? What are we working on? We're working on the EIC, Earned Income Credit, right? We are working on the eligibility, right? We're verifying the eligibility, okay? So as you can see, my schedule EIC is already completed, right? So I'm gonna keep working on my schedules, on my schedules, and I'm gonna go and say that I'm gonna go to worksheet A. I want you to write this down, please. Worksheet 8 equals health insurance. All right, so you're going to see that pop in your chat right now. Worksheet 8 equals health insurance. Health insurance. So let's go to worksheet 8. There we go. You're going to have a worksheet 8 is actually called shared responsibility. In Spanish, responsabilidad compartida, share responsibility. So if you understand, and we're going to talk about insurance next week, and there's also a video that I already added for you. If you look at share responsibility, right? What does that mean, share responsibility? The Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, it was the whole point of Obamacare was for all of us to share the responsibility, right? There's a responsibility of the government and there's a responsibility of the individual, right? So if you are a citizen or a resident, a permanent resident or a citizen of the United States, if you are not one of those, this does not apply to you, okay? If you are a citizen or a permanent resident, so let me be clear. You have a citizenship certificate, right? You are naturalized, okay? If you're one of them, you are responsible to have insurance. If your green card says permanent resident, right? You are responsible to have insurance. If you don't have one of those, you're not responsible to have insurance, right? You're not required to have insurance, okay? If you are on DACA, if you are on TPS, or if you're on anything else except a citizen, right? If you don't carry a citizenship certificate or a green card, then you don't have to worry about insurance. So that you can say that same thing to your customer. If you don't have a citizenship certificate or a green card, you don't have to worry about insurance, right? So. All right, so let's go to the insurance. But first, let's see what the customer told us. What did he say about insurance? It says that he received health insurance through the employer. So this is going to be very simple, okay? It's going to be very simple because he received insurance through the employer. So I'm going to go to the system, and I'm going to say that he had full health insurance, all right? He had full health insurance. But he didn't tell me anything about Karen. He didn't say anything about Karen. He didn't say whether Karen had insurance or not, right? So this is going to be a good example for us to figure out what happens, right? If, for instance, if Karen doesn't have insurance and Christopher doesn't have insurance, they're both residents or citizens. So what's going to happen, right? So if Karen had insurance, then we need to know how she had insurance. So maybe Karen's going to say, hey, we had insurance through Medicaid, right? That's very common, right? We had Karen, Christopher and I had insurance through Medicaid. All right, well, if you have insurance through Medicaid, then you're just going to click full insurance. There's no other forms to fill out. You're just going to say full insurance. And that's it, full insurance. That's all you have to worry about, right? If the person says, hey, we had insurance through our employer. The only thing you have to ask is, did you have insurance all year long? Right? Depending on the question is what you are going to do here. So I'm going to say, Miss Karen, did you have insurance? And she's going to say, yes, I did. And the insurance was through my employer. Okay, so did you have insurance all year long? Yes. Well, what about Christopher? Oh, yes, he had insurance as well. He was in my employer's insurance, on my insurance policy, and he was all year long. Then I can say, okay, full. Don't worry about it. That's it. That's the end, right? That's the end of the insurance. But if she says, no, I did not have any kind of insurance. No, I didn't have any insurance. Not at all. Then you're going to ask Miss Karen, did you have insurance at least 3 months, 2 months, 1 month? And she's going to say no, 0 months. So during 2015, you have zero insurance. Yes. So then you're going to click on every single month, okay? You're going to click on every single month. You're signaling that she did not have insurance on this month. Whenever you click on here, it means that the person did not have insurance, right? It doesn't mean that they had insurance this month. No, it means that they did not have insurance, okay? And we can say the same thing for Christopher. Let me log back in. We can say the same thing for Christopher for this example, right? Let's say that Christopher did not have insurance any of the month. Okay, so I'm clicking in here, and I want you to, once I'm done here, I want you to take a look at the refund. Can you see the refund? Can everybody see the difference in the refund? Give me a yes or an okay if you can see the difference in the refunds. So we went from $4,530 to now $4,530. I'm sorry, now $4,040, right? So now they have a now they have to pay a penalty, right? And it's right here. Look, here's the penalty. Just scroll down the page, and you'll find it here on line 5. They have to pay $488. Okay, that's the penalty. According to this worksheet, there was 2 people throughout the year. There was 2 people who did not have insurance, and therefore they had to pay a penalty of $488. Not per person, total. Right? 400. This is the penalty. This is your share. It's actually called share responsibility. Right? It comes out of your refund, and if you don't have a refund, you owe that money to the IRS. So, all right. So let's say this. Let's do this. Right? Let's take this away, because I think this is really important. Let's take this away, and you're gonna have a video. If you want to see it, it's in English and Spanish, and I'm gonna show you where it is. I'm gonna show you this because I think this is very important. We're almost done anyway. So, all right. So let's say that Karen said, hey, you know, I did have insurance, but it was through Obamacare. I actually had Obamacare. Okay, I had Obamacare, and then you're gonna say, okay, I need you to show me a form called 1095A, and I'm gonna show you what that form looks like. It's right there. Okay. Whenever someone says I did have, and I want you to be very very aware of this. Whenever someone says I did have insurance through Obamacare, then you need to make sure that they present this form to you, 1095A, because this is created by the government, by the Department of Health and Human Services, and you need to make sure that you present this on the tax return. If you don't present this in the tax return, the IRS is going to hold the refund until you show this to them. So if the customer says, oh, you know what, don't worry about it, just send it, you need to tell the customer, Mr. Customer, of course I can send it, but you need to understand that the IRS is going to hold your refund until you present this. So you're going to add 2 or 3 more weeks of waiting time just because you didn't want to wait 2 or 3 more days, right? So okay, 1095A. Cool. Let's go back. So I'm not going to fill out 8962 right now because I'm just going to say that they have full insurance through the employer. But you are going to have some situations where you need to actually add the 8962. So make sure you watch those videos. I can't stress that. All right. So at a glance, it looks like we've already finished this return. So the one thing that I am going to add to this return is the child care. Here's my form 2441. I'm going to add the child care And here we go. This is what I'm talking about right there. I'm going to add the child care form. So I'm going to go to form 2441. And remember, whenever you're going to add this form, it means that you have information. That means you have information, right? So that means that you have the person or organization or company who provided the daycare for your kid. So let's say Bright Start Daycare. That is, and they are located in 80 or 800 Lake Drive. This is just an example. They are located in the same city. They're a company, they're not a person. So if they're a company, they have an EIN. If they're a person, they have a social security or an ITIN. So they're a company. So I'm going to say here is the company's EIN. And I paid $2,500 for this to this company. Perfect. All right, now I need to scroll down, and I am going to add the kid, right? I just added here who I paid it to. Now I need to say why I paid it, right? So I'm going to add the dependent. So here's the list. Here's Christopher Johnson. And I spent $2,500 in child care expenses for him, right? And as you can see, my refund did not go up. There you go. My refund did not go up. It didn't go anywhere. And you're probably wondering, well, why? Why did your refund did not go up, right? Well, how come the refund not go up? Well, there is also all sorts of reasons why the refund did not go up. The first one is because Mr. Johnson, or what's his name, Mr. Hammonds, he makes too much money. Look at that. Remember that in your materials you have, and one of the explanations I gave you is that one of the explanations I gave you when we talked about this credit is that it's based on income, right? It's based on income. So he is out of that income range already. So the system already did the math for you. It's just basically he's out of that income range already. He has one kid and he's out of that income range. That's basically it, right? So this is why you don't see the credit right here on line 11. Okay? That's why you don't see the credit, because he is out of that range already. So this is why the system. So let me show you this. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and say that he made 28,000, and that he paid 2,900 in income taxes. Let's just do that. Look how that refund just went up. All right. Well, let's go back to the form. Okay, and see if he got any money now. Oh, now he did, right? Has he gotten any nope, he didn't get any money yet. All right, let's go back to the form one more time, and let's see what happens if I go to $25,000. Okay, $25,000. I'm going to do 2,500 here just for the example. And let me just be clear: you're not allowed to do this, right? We're just testing this right now for because of the form, right? You're not allowed to do this. All right, so he's still out of the range, right? He's still not able to do that. So let's see if let's say that my expenses were actually $3,000, right? The maximum, right? Here we go. I paid $3,000, right? So again, you're not allowed to do this. This is a big no. You don't do this, right? So let me go back and make one more change so you can see it. This is why we require paperwork, right? And require paperwork so that we can see if you're Make sure that you're not doing this, right? I'm just giving you an example right now. Right, you still are in range. You see that? Customers still are in range, so he's not receiving that. So what I'm trying to show you here is that don't get crazy, trying to trying to have all these credits and this and that and the other. Sometimes the customer's not going to get those credits simply because he doesn't qualify for them. He has too much. He already received the maximum of all the credits, so he's not going to be able to get all the credits all the time, right? So we're going to do one more example, and then we're going to close the class here. So we'll say that the customer made $18,000, right? There we go, $18,000. He paid $2,000 in income taxes. Still nothing, right? So let the system do the math, all right? Don't get caught up trying to do what I just did. Let the system do the math, and if the customer's going to qualify, they're going to qualify by you simply doing your job and not making a bunch of changes, right? So cool. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's come to form 8867, and I'm just going to show you some things here. I'm not going to fill it out with you. Okay, I'm going to show you some things here. This is due diligence. You're gonna have some homework. Pay attention to your email today, because once we're done with the class, we're gonna give you some homework. Here in class, I'm gonna show you some stuff. Then once we're done with that, we're also gonna send you an email with some homework. You're gonna have to create some returns today. You come right here to form 8867. How do you fill out this form? We're gonna spend all the time there filling out the form. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to do it for you here. I'm going to quickly fill out this form. You need to watch the video. This is not going to change the amount of the refund. Okay, this is not going to change the amount of the refund. So this is just you telling the IRS, yes, I have done my job. Okay, I have done my job. I know what the ramifications are for not doing my job, and I have done my job. Okay, that's basically what you're saying. So, and then you have this option right here. I'm just gonna pick one, all right? And there we go. Your return is done, is completed. Your return is done and it's completed. Okay. Now you have everything. Now what you can do is log into the chat system and say, hey, can anybody check this for me? Right? You can say, hey, can you check it for me? Can you check the return for me? And someone's going to come in and someone's going to come in and review it for you. It takes about 45 seconds to check a return. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to leave the class here, but I want you to begin working on scenario number 2. Okay, scenario number 2. This is your homework. You're going to receive an email. You're going to work on scenario number 2. Okay, you're going to work on scenario number 3 and scenario number 3. Actually, just scenario number 1 and 2. That's all you need to scenario number 1 and 2. That's what you need to worry about. Okay. So again, scenario number 1 and scenario number 2. No, that's where you need to be.